Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Guitar Live. Thomas Michaud. I know most of you know that. And welcome. I'm really happy to have you here. Anyone who's new, welcome. Today, I want to answer as many or all of your guitar questions I can possibly answer. I'll start with pre-submitted questions, and then I'll go on to answer anything you can put in the chat. Put something in the chat anytime, and I'll glance over there. If you could please start with the word question, I'll see it. Otherwise, there's a lot of comments, and I'm more likely to miss it just going up and down looking at comments. So, and if I do miss your question, I apologize. I'm sorry. I will. It's not on purpose. At the end, if I missed your question, please just put it again, and I'm sorry ahead of time. So with that, I'm going to start answering questions. We'll start with the pre-submitted. Oh, by the way, I will do a drawing at the end. This is for Real Guitar Success members. They complete a practice session, one practice session a day, 5 days a week. And at the end, when I say complete, they just spend 10 minutes on it. Then they can check it off and decide if they want to come back to it later. And then they get entered into a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. Okay, let's start with the first question for today. I've got a lot of good ones. Some pretty intense ones. I'm working on your daily sessions, the daily guitar sessions. Those are what I just mentioned. And I don't always feel like I'm ready for Friday yet. What we do is we have 5 sessions during the week, and they often build to the one on Friday where we kind of put everything together. When I spend more time on earlier lessons, I feel like I'm behind. Is this normal? This is from Arthur. This is absolutely normal. And one of the reasons it's normal is because a lot of people don't really fully, it's not that they don't understand, but they don't, it's hard to accept the premise of the guitar sessions. They're not meant to be something that you practice, nail down, and then move on. That's how a lot of lessons are. That's how we were taught in school. You kind of learn one concept, then you work on to the next, and so on. And I have a bunch of lessons like that too. We have whole courses. The beginner's journey is step-by-step, bar chords for everyone, step-by-step on playing bar chords. One thing builds on the other. That's not the guitar sessions. The guitar sessions, we take a song, we tear apart elements from the song. I present them each day, Monday through Friday. And on Friday, we take most of those elements, if not all, and put them together into something, usually with a play-along track. So you get a chance to play with other instruments. The only thing I ask is that you spend 10 minutes on the lesson and then move on. You can decide if you want to put it in your favorites, you just check it off, and save it and come back to it later. But each day is actually a full lesson. And to spend even a whole day on it, you might not get the whole lesson. So it's meant to expose you to different areas, things that you don't know that you don't know, things that you might really enjoy playing, but you haven't been exposed to it. Things that you do know, but you realize there are other ways to work on, practice it, and get better at it. By doing the session for 10 minutes each day, you're collecting a bunch of lessons in your favorites that you decide to come back to later. You're creating your own program, again, from material that you wouldn't even know to search out. And it culminates in a song, some type of project at the end, usually, that just makes it something to work for. And you can save that the whole 5 lessons, all 5, into your favorites and come back to it later. It's hard to let go that you need to complete each lesson. But in real life, that's the way it is. You go to learn a language. I went to Spain with a class to learn a language. Most of the time I was fumbling. But the 10 days I was there, I learned to speak so much better than a year of taking a course in the school where everything was set one after the other and you just practiced it and did a test. In real life, you're getting stuff all over the place. There are different levels, and you do your best you can, and then you use it again later, and yeah, you get a little bit better, but you often feel like you're incompetent. That's the way music is too. I know when I went playing with other people, everything I learned out of a book or from my guitar teacher almost felt like it got thrown out the window because it doesn't come at you in real life, nice and neat little packages right at your level just when you're ready for it. It doesn't work that way. By giving you lessons in the guitar sessions, I'm training you how you can really become fluent on the guitar. It's not the same as following along in the book and learning one little thing after another. That is it's an important part of learning, but it's definitely not the whole thing. And sooner or later, you have to tackle stuff that you're not comfortable with and move around. Now, just doing stuff you're not comfortable with is likely to get you discouraged. That's why I have all these step-by-step courses at different levels and for different things, even these 5-session courses just to work on a specific issue. Because you can choose things that you need to work on, like bar chords, and spend some time going step by step and then apply those to the guitar sessions. So I understand where you're coming from, Arthur. It's very common. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk about it some more. I'm sure it's not the last time I'll be talking about it. Far from it. I'm still struggling with my fretting here. In order to get from low E string to the A string, I guess that means from here to here, I have to get my thumb in some uncomfortable positions. I'm trying to keep my thumb behind the neck, and it's not happening. Any help is welcome. So, one of the things that you don't have to keep your thumb all the way behind the neck. Let's put it that way. But if it's uncomfortable, yeah, I would do something about that. A lot of times, my thumb is sticking up a little bit over the neck. But what you don't want to do is crink your thumb like this. That is going to cause physical problems as well as make it hard to play a lot of chords. You can move your thumb up and down. When I play, let's say, a G chord, my thumb does go back a little bit. So my hand will come out, and this is the way it should be. The can will come out a little bit so I can stretch over the guitar neck. Then when I come to a D chord, my thumb moves up a little and my hand pulls back. I wish I had a camera back here so you can see the thumb at the same time. But it's coming up a little bit. See, it's not quite peaking, but you can see that, just peeking over the top. And the idea is to always keep it so that you've got some leverage between your fingers and your thumb. And this is what you're looking for. Pretend the guitar neck is just between that, and you've got leverage. This is very weak, and it'll strain your muscles with you can't put much pressure without really straining your muscles. Curve so that you feel the leverage on your ball of your thumb and the ball of your fingers, and you just put the guitar neck between there. In varying versions, this way and this way. Pull your elbow up a little bit more, pull your elbow up a little bit back. You have to experiment, but little by little, you'll find where the arm, whether you need to pull up or pull back a little bit to get the right position so your thumb can stay in a fairly relaxed with a good fulcrum type motion. And that's the key. That's why one of the reasons you don't want to scratch your thumb like this. You ruin the amount of simple effort you can press just between your thumb and your fingers by crinking like that. That makes it really hard. I can't really press down without straining my muscles very quickly. It's a little by little process, and it would help if you had another guitar player or somebody to look at and just look from time to time to see how they're doing it and compare your thumb. Now, you can see this on my videos too, and sometimes you might just want to stop a frame where you see my thumb and just look where it is, if it's peeking up over the neck for that chord or if it's way behind the neck. Generally speaking, when you have to get to the 6th string, I'm going to pull my thumb down and pull the hand up a little bit. And when I'm going to the 1st strings, I'll move the hand back a little bit and the thumb up. He says, Arthur says, I notice you're playing a beautiful Martin. That's this guitar. And I see writing. What is that? This is a 0028, a triple O 28 EC. And that's what that writing is. It's Eric Clapton, EC. I need help with strums. My strums are not musical at all. My up strums, I'm sorry. Down strums are good. Up strums are a problem. Let me get a pick. Is it best to use the whole arm or just the wrist? So that's a good question. In fact, both. The smooth strumming comes by relaxing your arm, and you're going to move your arm up and down a little and your wrist back and forth, the two together. Let's see. I can see this. So my hand is, the wrist is turning up and down, but the arm is also moving, and they're going together. Relax is the key. If I thumbs up, I can't even make it sound smooth if I tense. Now, you're going to, when you do this, you're going to angle the pick slightly. See, when I come down, I have my pick facing up, and it comes down preparing for the up strum. So the pick needs to be slightly angled down on the up. Hands relax. Tense. That's exaggerated. Now, make sure not hold the pick too tightly either. You want the pick to wobble a little bit. I usually tighten up on the back end a little bit so it doesn't slip out, but it's still kind of wobbly. And try starting slow and deliberate, just practice brushing along the strings on the up. And then try down and go slow. Do this every day. What you're doing is developing a habit. Focus on getting an even volume also. Not, you don't want that. You know, trying to get the volume fairly even. One thing I've had students do in the past is I just have them mute the strings and see if you can make kind of the same sound without worrying about the chord part. You know, this pick is angled up as I go down, and I turn it. The pick, I'm holding it so it's facing outwards from my finger with the thumb over it. And then my wrist is slightly bent in so I can get the point of the pick. It's not the only way to hold a pick, but it is the best way to get a smooth strum. I do something different when I'm playing melodies. Experiment, and you know, you have to get this kind of mind and body together. And it usually happens just by slow, deliberate practice, and then failing, and then coming back the next day, little at a time. You know, long sessions make you tense and can even sore muscles, which you don't want, just put you out of business for a while. And spend some time a little bit each day just practicing your up strum. And then add the down strum so you see how it fits together. The up strum's not in isolation, but it's good to just practice separate and then add it into the down strum. I hope that helps. Again, there's not a quick fix. It's you keep coming back at it. How long should I grow my fingernails on the right hand for optimal finger length? Oh, finger picking. I have I'll start here. My fingers are about, I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if yeah. Is that focusing on my fingers? They're just peeking up, I can see over the tops of my fingers. Now I have to file them and make them smooth too. The fingernails will sound harsh on the strings if I don't file them and smooth them out. This is because I play nylon string a lot, and I'm trying to get a certain sound with the nylon strings. Now, that said, lots of people play with no fingernails at all on a steel string guitar, like this. And it's fine. Matter of fact, a lot of people say that's the way to go because the nails will break and get caught on the strings. I don't like to play too much finger picking on a steel string because I'm afraid I'm going to break my nails, and that'll put me out of business on the nylon string. So probably not very long, no fingernails on steel string, or very short, and then file them so they're smooth. This month we learned a 12-bar blues progression using the open G7, C7, and D7. Could you please demonstrate how to play seventh chords using bar chords? Yes, absolutely. G7, probably this is the best way to make that. And I've got a bar across the 3rd fret. The 3rd finger is on the 5th string, 5th fret, and the 2nd finger is on the 3rd string, 4th fret. That's a 7th form. It comes from E7, just moved up to the G position with the bar. And of course, if you move up 2 frets, it's A7, B flat 7, B7, C7, and so on. Let's tackle the C7. I'm probably going to play that C7 bar this way. So that's the same bar across the 3rd fret, but now I'm making a version of the A7 chord moved up to the 5th fret, bar 3rd fret. So I've got my 3rd finger on the 4th string, 5th fret, and the pinky right there on the 2nd string, 5th fret. And D7, you can do the same thing, just move up 2 frets. That's a bar chord. I often will make a D7 this way too when I'm playing bar chords. It just sounds good. And it stays right there in the same position. Okay, I think that covers the bar chords. And Shulamit also asked, I wrote a song and succeeded in writing out the melody notes and tried to put them in a tablature transposition program. All the notes are correct, but I don't know how to divide them into measures and whether the notes are half notes, quarter notes, the timing. What should I do? Okay, so she's written out the notes in a guitar tablature, which only accounts for the notes, no rhythm. You could just put them on the guitar neck and it writes it out on paper, the program. I mean, on the computer. I guess you can print it on paper. But yeah, it's not going to deal with the length of the notes, whether they're half notes, you hold a quarter note. Well, first of all, you can't use the tablature program unless it has a notation program too. A standard notation is what I mean, the 5 lines of music staff. Let me try this. If you're on the call, please feel free to add any questions. I'm going to give you kind of a brief lesson on how to figure out the timing of notes. And then I have a little more to add to that. So first, of course, you identify the time signature. I'll assume it's 4/4 time. That's the most common. But if it's 3/4, you got 3 beats from a measure. 4/4, you got 4 beats. Now you tap out the rhythm of the notes that you want. Usually hum or sing, or you can play on your guitar. But if you can tap it, it gets kind of right to the point. And then figure out whether the note falls on the beat, or in the middle of the beat, or somewhere in between. So listen to this. Da 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 da. Da, da. They're all falling on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4/4 time, those are all going to be quarter notes. Now, if they fall on the second half of the beat, da, 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 that da, that's a beat. Da, that's a beat. Da, that is the second half of the beat. That's an eighth note. Those are 2 eighth notes. Quarter note, da, da, 2 eighth notes. Da, 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 2 eighth notes. Da, quarter note, da, da, 2 eighth notes. And if you're getting into 16ths, now you can divide each beat into 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. 1, 2 E, and now that's going to be 16, 16, 16, 16. Da, 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 da. Quarter note, 16, 16, blah, 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 quarter note, 16, 16, 16, and so on. Okay. If you can't tell, this gets better with practice doing it. You put them in the measures. Remember, you got to keep 4 beats in each of the measures. So in that case, that would be 1 full measure, and then whatever comes after that, even if a note holds, then it has to be in the next measure. If the same note is holding and it goes over in the next measure, you use a tie. So listen to this. Da, 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 da. I held that last beat for 2 beats, and that would go over 4/4. That was beats 4 and 5, or the first beat of the next measure. So there would be a tie between that last quarter note and the next quarter note, and that would account for 2 beats going into the next measure. That is the process for figuring out the rhythm. If you're really into writing music and you don't want to learn this, so I encourage you to learn this one way or the other, but let's say you want to get this song, you might want to try, oh, by the way, all of this works much better if you record your tune, hum it, play it, whatever, on a recording device, and then do this while you're listening to a recording device. Trying to sing it and write at the same time is a lot. And by recording it, you're not going to keep changing it. And that's what I keep doing when I'm singing or something and I try and write it. I start changing what I'm singing and I don't even realize it. And now I look at it and, well, did I get it right or not? It's confusing. So you have it in recording, and if you want to go faster for like this song, you could hire somebody on, let's say, Fiverr. That's an outsourcing site. Upwork's another one. And you'll find people on there that'll transcribe music. And I do this all the time. I can transcribe, but it's a matter of time. I hire somebody to help me do the transcriptions for my lessons. And there's plenty of people. And of course, some are better and worse. You like anything else, you try somebody, and if you like what they did, try and use them again. If you don't, try somebody else. That's an idea. That's all I can think to say about that. Feel free to ask more questions if you think of some. Chuck is asking, when you look at a key signature, how can you tell if it's major or minor? Well, you can't by a key signature. You can, because one key signature could be either major or minor. Every key has a relative minor. Every major key has a relative minor. So the key of C, which is no sharps or flats, could also be a minor. And the key of G, which is one sharp in the beginning, could also be E minor. The way I tell is, I'll play the melody and I'll listen. Does it sound like a minor or a major? But the other thing, if I'm just looking at the music, I can usually tell if the beginning or the end chord or both are, like in the key of C, if it ends or starts on the C chord, it's probably in the major key. If it ends on an A minor, it's probably in the minor key. The other thing I can do is look throughout the piece and see if there's what I call 1-5 progressions. So 1-5 often establishes the key, or I'm sorry, 5-1, so I should say. So here's the key of A minor. I played the 1 chord, and then the E7. In the key of A minor, the E normally is an E minor, but it's common to change it if it's the 5 chord to a 7th chord, E7. And if I see that E7 in a song, I kind of know I'm in A minor instead of the key of C. It's going to be E minor in the key of C. That's another thing I look for. If I play the tune, I see a lot of G7s to C, I know that's the 5 to the 1 C chord. I know it's probably in the key of C. My pinky seems a bit weak. I have a hard time holding down the string when I stretch to the adjacent fret. Can you recommend any exercises or workarounds? A lot of times I can use my third finger in place of what some people use as a pinky. So it depends on how long your fingers are and how much stretch you have between your first and your third finger. To work up your pinky, I would still want to have my pinky, I would want to work on my pinky. There's sometimes the third finger works well, particularly with melodies. So I often teach this kind of lift if I'm going slow with a pinky. But when I'm playing fast or I want to bend, I'll often use my third finger, because I have more strength in the third finger. That said, I would really encourage you to practice some exercise a little bit at a time to strengthen your pinky. A common exercise I use is this one. One note, one note, and pinky. And then I'll hammer on with the pinky 2, 3 times. Then move the whole thing up 1 fret. Then 1 more fret. So I'm hammering on the second finger. That's usually pretty easy. Third finger, not too hard, but you're practicing hammer on the same time. Then the pinky, that is a little more work. 3 times, you're getting a workout. You do just a minute or two on that, and then keep coming back. You'll see your pinky gets stronger. You want to stretch more. I have a number of exercises in the Real Guitar Success, and I'll put probably a link to in the show notes to some exercises. But one exercise that you can do is starting on the 5th fret is this one. I'm skipping every other note. Now that's quite a stretch, and you just hold it there. Maybe the count of 5, and then try the next string. If it doesn't make it all the way, that's okay. Just go as far as is the stretch for you, and little by little, that stretch will allow you to get farther and farther. And that'll strengthen between the pinky and the 3rd finger and so on. I've seen some people, I don't do this, but I've seen some people do this stretch in the morning. Or I do my stretches in the morning. I don't seem to need that, but I think that could have value. Excuse me. Okay, next I have Mary asks, would you have time to give us a tour of your guitar collection? I am interested in which guitars you enjoy for certain styles of music and which is your go-to guitar favorite. Okay, I'm going to do that, Mary, and I'm happy to show off my guitars. I've picked, a handful of my guitars. I have at least twice that, but I picked my favorites. So let's start with the Martin. This is, I've already mentioned, it's the Eric Clapton model. It's slightly smaller. I really like the size. It's comfortable for me. And because it's slightly smaller body, it has a little brighter, clearer tone. Works really well for me recording because it doesn't add so much low end that kind of muddies things up. I do really like it for like finger picking stuff. And if I want to cut through, like I'm singing or something, because that kind of mid to higher sound cuts through. Now I also have this Taylor. It's a 200 series. It's cutaway. The cutaway comes in handy. It also has a fuller sound and it has electronics. So the Eric Clapton does not have electronics. If I'm playing and I need to be louder, this is the guitar, on steel string I mean. And it's a little cooler for like songs because it's fuller. It kind of sounds more by itself complete. Also, if I were playing anything on the acoustic guitar like this, I would appreciate the cutaway right there. I don't often play lead on the acoustic guitar, so. Now, let's go to the electric guitar. So I have a few electric guitars, but this is my favorite. It's a close run. I have a Les Paul too. This is American-made Strat, and I'm partial to the sound of a Strat. When I first got the Strat, I thought I would never like it because it looks like it'd be a lot easier to play than it is. The Strat has a lot of variables. The strings can easily sound very high-pitched. But when you learn over years to play it, you can take advantage of those quirks and actually use them to make different sounds on the guitar. Anything rock or fusion type sound, I'm going to use the electric guitar. Now I'm going to go to my nylon strings. This one is made by Rodriguez. It's a manufactured guitar. I say that because I have several handmade guitars. And it has electronics built in, and they're good. I actually upgraded them into some fairly expensive RMC pickups that individually pick up. It has an individual pickup for each string. And that means it's easier for me to get an even tone across the strings. So a lot of those ribbon pickups, they might be louder on the treble and softer on the bass. And in a live situation, that causes me trouble. And I have the controls right up here. So it's slightly thinner than my other nylon string guitars, so it doesn't feed back as easily. Again, for live, that really helps. And it is pretty easy to play. Rodriguez. Yes, I've had this for many years. That stands, MR stands for Manuel Rodriguez. Now, this is the guitar I used to play the most. It's a handmade Flamenco Negre by Lester DeVoe, famous for making guitars for Paco de Lucia, Vicente Amigo, Otmar Liebert, and many others in the flamenco area. Wonderful guitar. And it's pretty beat up, unfortunately. I tried to take good care of it, but it had some strange accidents. A picture did a number off a counter, accidentally shook the counter, hit a vase, hit a picture, and the picture came and pounced on my guitar. Great sound, and probably the best flamenco guitar if I want to play more authentic flamenco-y stuff. One more. This is my newest guitar, another handmade instrument. It was meant to be a classical guitar, but I do play some flamenco-y stuff on it. It has a kind of almost a hybrid sound. And I put a tap plate on there. It didn't have one. Excuse me. It might be because it's my newest, but this is my favorite right now, and so when I play the most. It has a beautiful, crisp, clear sound. The nylon string guitar has a wider neck, great for finger picking stuff because you can get your right hand in between the strings more easily than the steel string with a thinner neck. Of course, for strumming, the thinner neck makes it easier to bar chords like on the steel string. Yes, this is one I play every day, right now. It might be because it's the newest too, but I really like it. Let's see, made by a Canadian maker. I'll think of his name in a minute. I'll certainly put in the show notes. I don't know why it slipped my mind. But it's not as famous as Lester DeVoe, so that might be it. Okay, thanks for asking, Mary. Now, Larry is asking, he has several he has several nylon string guitars, I meant to say, and he's wondering if he has a couple that he's just not playing. He has several, and two are kind of sitting around. He wants to know if he should loosen the strings. Generally speaking, with nylon string guitars, if you're going to store them for a long time, you should loosen the strings a little bit. Not all the way, because the neck could go the opposite way. Just, maybe down a tone or two at the most. Same, by the way, if you go on the airplane. If it's just for short term, you probably should just leave them. The nylon strings are not heavy tension, so you're not going to really likely have a problem with them pulling the neck towards the strings. And this is assuming you have them in a reasonable storage area. I mean, a living room or something that's humidity controlled, temperature, no big fluctuations, that kind of thing. A stable environment is the word I was looking for. Let me see. A couple more questions. What do you do if utilizing all your sources to play guitar or to write music and you lost inspiration, nothing seems to inspire you? And he wanted to mention he's going to put an album together. This is a solo guitar music album. Just put it on the cloud service for family and friends, but seems to have the inspiration has escaped him. Yes, the life of an artist, writer, painter, musician. It's It's that way. Inspiration just comes in cycles, and it's normal to have periods where you're just not in, you're just having a harder time, and then often, it's times like those you get discouraged. But for me, I've learned over the years to just keep showing up, keep practicing, keep, even if it feels mechanical, keep doing what I would do to make new songs. And I'm amazed sometimes that something comes out of just seemingly nowhere, even if I don't feel inspired, but I don't count on it. That said, there's some things that I wrote some notes here that you can do. I know sometimes just taking a little break and coming back to it is work. I go on vacation usually and come back. That just helped me just somehow see things a little differently. Or maybe because when I go on vacation, then I hear different music, and if I'm going somewhere, usually a different country, and that kind of inspires me. In general, you might want to try finding some different kinds of music to listen to. I've created a lot of songs by listening to a different style of music and seeing what I can kind of gather from that to use in my own music. Change of environment, again, traveling helps there, but sometimes even practicing a different place. I used to often go to the beach and sit by the water, and that is, for a period there, that was a real boon for me. Collaborate with other musicians. Try playing with someone else. That often inspires me to try or do things or I didn't even think of, or they give me, they play something that gives me an idea for one of my compositions. I like to set an arbitrary constraint and just try creating something with that. For instance, I'm only going to use notes on the top three strings of the guitar and create a melody. Or I'm going to create a melody that has this rhythm pattern. Da, 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 a rhythmic motif. And it kind of breaks me out of doing the same thing over and over. Taking lessons and learning new techniques often inspires me. I'm doing it again, taking some flamenco lessons to learn some of the more complex flamenco techniques, and it's a heck of fun. I like to just set a recorder and just record whatever comes to my mind, even if I'm not feeling inspired. Sure as heck, if I do that enough, I can gather some little nugget. Though, again, don't get expectations. I might go a whole half hour and nothing sounds worthy of trying to remember it. And the other thing is I would encourage some form of relaxing the mind, what people call a mindfulness, a meditation, or just go for a walk. That works wonders for me. Going for a walk, I put my earphones in and don't play anything, just so it kind of shuts out some of the noise cancellation, as they call that. Noise cancellation earphones, earplugs. I got it right, earplugs. Took me a minute there. Okay, those are just some ideas. And again, I encourage you, maybe above all things, just to not stress over it and just know that's the cycle. That's part of the cycle. But keep coming back at it. I think that's all the questions I have. Oh, one last question. It's Larry again asking. If he's going to organize these songs as a collection. How should he do that? Some are relaxing, some are laments in minor keys. Should they all be on the same album? Well, Larry, see, the thing is about not going commercial is you really do get to decide, and you have a lot more flexibility. You're not trying to appeal to the record company or to a particular public, and it's going to be a failure if they don't like the way you put it together. That said, you could go for the kind of typical album approach. You begin with something that's kind of an engaging opening piece, alternate with relaxing and laments, have a standout piece in the middle, and maybe at the end some kind of closure, something that indicates closure. It's not going to be on a physical album, so that would just be a vision for the collection, as opposed to when the record album, we'd actually play it from beginning to end. I'd try experimenting, and I would be flexible. Again, you don't have to get anyone's approval. go for something that feels good for you. And that's part of the key, is to try some different things, see how it sounds, and then mix them up a little bit and see if something sounds better to you. Okay, so that is all the questions I have pre-submitted. Let's go over here and check the comments and see, look for the word question. And if you just came in after the beginning, I've asked that you write the word question first, and I'll look down and I can separate comments from questions very quickly that way. If I miss your question, please just write it again at the end. It's just I can't read all the comments fast enough. Okay. Can a guitar wear out? Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know though. You ever seen Willie Nelson's guitar? It's got like a hole in the top of the guitar from him playing. Seems to love that guitar. I would generally say you could always fix a guitar depending on where that balance is of wanting to repair it or make it better compared to the money, and if it's worth it to you. If it's a keepsake, no. You can always do something to keep it running. Willie Nelson's a perfect example. For practical purposes, it's not likely unless you break it. Never even thought of that question, honestly. They can get scuffed, dented, but no, they don't really wear out. No. Okay, just checking to see if I missed a question. I don't see any more word question. I'm just looking to read a couple. So I'm going to go ahead and do the, oh, there is another question here. I've learned the basic major scale and the 5 pentatonic positions, but I don't know what to do with them to sound good, solos or riffs. I just play them up and down, but how do I use them? This is Adam asking. So he's learned the positions of the pentatonic scale up and down the neck. And I have this, I guess you could call it, my mom would say gripe. I don't use that word, but complaint maybe about guitar teachers that teach that way. Generally speaking, I don't like to teach students all the positions up and down the neck because of that reason. That doesn't sound like music. And I think it's much more valuable to teach one position and then use it, create riffs, put on, one good way to start is to put on a jam track that's in that key. So if I've got the A minor pentatonic scale, I'll put a blues progression or a simple progression that's in the key of A minor. I would keep it simple. And then play the scale over it. I'm trying to play in time. And that sometimes takes some practice if you're new to this. Then start making up little phrases from notes from that scale. And you're using your ears. It's not an intellectual thing. You're using your ears to see which notes sound good. And experiment with them. And try and collect phrases you like, and ones that you don't think sound good, just, move on. And then little by little, try to use those phrases and connect them together to make what you would consider a solo. Now, the next step there is to actually learn some riffs that other people, your teacher or other artists have created. When we were growing up, we would listen to albums and copy riffs. Not easy, I get it, but, just short 3-4 note phrases, and then integrate those into your experiment with playing along with tracks. I would do that a little bit every day. Just play the backing track. If you can get backing tracks on YouTube easily now, and look for the key of A minor if you're using an A minor pentatonic. I say that because that's often the one students start with, A pentatonic. A minor pentatonic is the most common, and use that and maybe get a few versions just for variety, but do it a little bit each day. Then when you feel like you've made some progress on being able to express little solos, they don't have to be pro level. I mean, this is a process. Then add another one of those positions, number one that's connected to the first, and that'll let you stretch out of that box. We used to call those positions boxes. Stretch out in that way. And then go to that again, adding some of those new notes. I also like to add what I call arpeggios. That means playing a chord one at a time. And consider that in this lump in there with the riffs. Learn, like when the A minor chord's playing, to play the notes from the A minor chord directly. And mix that up with notes right from the pentatonic scale. And then back and forth, play, listen. Maybe record yourself once in a while and say, oh yeah, I noticed I really like what I did there. Let's try and play that and memorize that phrase that you made. It's a process, little by little. Keep coming back at it, even 10 minutes a day, and you'll make progress. You will make progress. It's a done deal. It's just a matter of how long and how consistent you are. I don't know if you're doing it on your own or if you're doing it with a teacher, but I encourage you to, if you're doing it with a teacher, you might want to have a discussion. If it were me, I would try to be more careful with a teacher and find somebody that can actually teach you how to use this. It's an easy thing for a teacher to say, here's the scales, here's this scale, here's this, but it doesn't really turn into music by itself. Another question, have you tried a transcription program like Anthem Score? I have not. I've never heard of it, so I can't speak to that. I use Guitar Pro, which is the most common transcription program. And I use Sibelius, which is more elaborate stuff, orchestration stuff. Question, my dad left me 2 old violins and an old banjo. How would I know if they are worth restoring? If I polish the metal on the banjo, does that take away if it is valuable? So I've never had experience with old violins or banjos, but it might be good to take it to someone who has more experience with that. I don't know. I think polishing and cleaning up a banjo is not likely unless you really do something that would harm it. First thing I would do is try to see if the banjo is a brand that's a popular brand, because that might mean it's more likely to have value. The violins, I don't know. A lot of them, the good ones, are handmade, so I don't know if the brands will help there. Maybe if you have a local music store, they might have knowledgeable people. I was thinking of antique or pawn shop, but they're more likely to tell you, oh no, they're terrible. Here's $10, give it to me. Something like that. Question, what music made you want to learn guitar? Let me think. Thanks for asking, Wingo. Initially, Santana and artists in that vein. Classic rock, we call that. But I really like Santana on the guitar in particular. I like the songs of Led Zeppelin, but I wasn't as attracted to his style of guitar playing. It sounded more kind of normal blues stuff that a lot of people were doing, but Santana sounded unique, different. Something had a creativity to it, energy I liked. But then as a young adult, I went to Spain and I heard Gypsy Kings. And I turned to nylon string guitar. I saw a chance to kind of combine. I had already played some classical guitar and combine what I liked about classical with what I liked about playing melodies and improvising and things with passion and fire. So I have to give Gypsy Kings credit for inspiring me. Yes, I have seen Tim ask Santana several times live, and I've seen Gypsy Kings live. Yes, he's awesome. It's amazing too. Such a long career. It's so few guitar players, and so few guitar players have really made it into the major fame playing guitar. It's usually singers, right? Some form of singing. Okay, it looks like we're to the end of our questions. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining me today. And it's been a pleasure to be here. Some great questions, even make me think. And I'm going to post show notes in a few days. Usually takes me till Monday. But if I can get them out earlier, I will. And I'll put some links in there for some of the things I've talked about. Again, we'll do this the first Thursday of next month. I hope you can make it. And if not, you can always send me some questions, and I'll when I post show notes, I'll put timestamps so you can see the answers to your questions. Thank you all. Bye. Hope to see you again soon.